Today we're gonna read a story all about the moon. When we look up into the night sky, the moon is the biggest thing we can see. In the fact, the moon is smaller than the earth. The moon looks so big because it is not as far away as the stars and other planets. There are 9 planets that go around or orbit the sun. Earth, the planet we live on, is one of those planets. It is the 3rd planet from the sun. The moon orbits the sun and at the same time it spins around too. It takes about 28 days for the moon to spin around and also for it to go around the earth. Astronomers look at the moon and stars and planets. Today they have big telescopes that let them see things that are a long way away. The first astronomers did not have such good telescopes for studying the moon. When you look at the moon, you can see dark light patches on it. The first astronomers mistook the dark patches for seas. They named them things like the Sea of Clouds and the Sea of Tranquility. The moon does not have any seas. The dark patches are big, flat bits of ground called plains. It looks as if the moon shines down on the earth, but in fact, moon does not have any light of its own. It looks like it shines because it reflects light from the sun. The moon is always round, but sometimes it looks as if it's a different shape. This is because we can only see the part of the moon that is in the light of the sun. At the time of a new moon, we cannot see the moon at all. This is because the other side of the moon, which we cannot see, is lit up. As the moon and earth turn, we can see part of the moon that is lit up. This is called a crescent moon. Each night we can see more and more of the moon that is lit up until we can see all of it. Then, night by night, it looks as if the moon is getting smaller and smaller again until it disappears at the next new moon. We say the moon waxes as it gets bigger and wanes as it gets smaller. Sometimes, as the moon orbits the earth and the earth orbits the sun, they cross each other. The moon or shadow of the moon can block out sun as they cross. When this happens, it becomes dark. This is called an eclipse. From the earth, we always see the same side of the moon. We never see the other side as it always turned away from the earth. This is because it takes the same time for the moon to spin around as it takes for the moon to orbit the earth. Despite being a long way away, the moon does affect things on the earth. As the moon travels around, it attracts the earth and its seas. When the moon is close to one part of the earth, there is a high tide. As the moon travels away, the sea levels fall and it is low tide. We could not live on the moon. It is rocky, dry, and barren. The moon's night is very, very cold, and the moon's day is very, very hot. Man always looked at the moon and dreamed about it. Visiting it. Man first landed on the moon in 1969. 6 rockets have landed on the moon and 12 men have walked in it. The gravity on the moon is less than on the earth. This is why when you see something walking on the moon, they seem to jump and float along. The first rockets to go on the moon were called Saturn rockets. Only a very small part of the rocket, the bit at the top, lands on the moon. The rest of it is filled with fuel. It has 3 parts, and each part falls off as the fuel in it is used up. When you look up at the moon with a telescope, you can see where rocks have crashed into. The marks never get worn away as there is no weather on the moon. This means that the footprints left by an astronaut will be still there in thousands of years' time. Thank you for listening.